All right, let's dive deep into the world of information security. We're going to break down three absolutely massive cornerstones of the field: security engineering, hardening, and governance. So let's get right into it. You hear about data breaches all the time, right? But have you ever stopped and wondered how the successful companies actually keep their and your data safe? It's not magic, and it's definitely more than just having a firewall. It's a whole set of smart, strategic practices working together. Honestly, the best way to think about it is like building a fortress, a digital fortress. You can't just throw up some walls and cross your fingers. No way. You need a solid blueprint, you need strong armor, and you need a clear set of rules for everyone living inside. And that leads us perfectly to our first pillar. First things first, you need that master plan, the blueprint for the entire fortress. And in the world of cybersecurity, we call that security engineering. It's all about designing security into a system from the very, very beginning. Think of it like this. Security engineering is not about going back and patching holes after something's already been built. That's reactive. This is proactive. It's like an architect who designs a skyscraper to withstand an earthquake before a single brick is even laid. It's about making sure the very foundation is unbreakable. So, how do these architects, these security engineers, know what to defend against in the first place? Well, they start by thinking like the bad guys. This process is called threat modeling, and it's literally all about imagining all the clever ways an attacker might try to break in. And to do that properly, they don't just guess. They often use a framework like STRIDE. It's a fantastic way to categorize all the potential threats. Are attackers trying to pretend they're someone else? That's spoofing. Are they trying to mess with the data? That's tampering. STRIDE basically gives engineers a checklist to make sure they've thought through all the major angles of attack. But look, you can't fix everything all at once, right? So after you use STRIDE to find all the potential problems, you have to prioritize. And that's where a model like DREAD comes in handy. It helps you rank each threat by asking really important questions like, how much damage could this actually do? Or how easy is it for someone to pull this off? This makes sure you're focusing your energy on the biggest and scariest risks first. Okay, so you've got a solid blueprint. The foundation is strong. Now it's time to build the walls, reinforce those gates, and basically put on the suit of armor. This is what we call security hardening. Now, hardening is different from engineering. Engineering is about building new things securely. Hardening is about taking the systems you already have and making them tougher. The fancy term for it is reducing the attack surface. Back to our fortress analogy, this is like closing and bricking up all the unnecessary windows and locking any doors you aren't using. Fewer entry points means it's harder for an attacker to get in. Simple as that. So how's it done? It's a systematic process. First, you get rid of anything that's not absolutely essential, because every extra piece of software is a potential doorway in. Then you patch and update everything to fix known vulnerabilities. You make sure everyone's using strong authentication, like multi-factor authentication. Then you apply the principle of least privilege, which just means people only get the keys to the rooms they absolutely need to be in. And finally, you log and monitor everything so your guards can spot anything suspicious. At the end of the day, it all boils down to this. The whole point of hardening is to make your existing systems as tough as humanly possible. You want to minimize the weak spots and flat out prevent anyone from getting in who shouldn't be there. It's that direct. All right, so we've got our blueprint and we've got our armor. But who's in charge? Who actually makes the rules for this whole fortress? That brings us to our third and final pillar: security governance. Governance is the big picture stuff. It's not about the individual bricks in the wall or the soldiers on patrol. It's the high-level strategy coming from the very top. It's like the king and their council deciding on the laws of the land, making sure the fortress's defense strategy actually aligns with the kingdom's goals, and ensuring everyone knows their role and is doing their job. And it's so important to understand the difference between these roles. Governance sets the strategy. That's the what and the why. Management is all about execution. That's the how you get it done. And then you have operations, the team on the ground doing the day-to-day monitoring and responding to incidents. There are three distinct levels, and they all have to work in sync. So what does a good governance program actually look like? Well, it's made up of a few key things. You've got clear policies and procedures. You've got a formal way to manage risk. Everyone's roles and responsibilities are clearly defined. You're making sure you're compliant with laws like GDPR or HIPAA. And, maybe most importantly, you're constantly training everyone in the organization to be security aware. Okay, so now let's bring it all back together, because by now it should be pretty clear that you can't just pick one of these. A fortress with an amazing blueprint but no armor, it's gonna fall. A fortress with thick armor but no rules or leadership, that's just gonna be chaos. They absolutely have to work together. So let's do one last quick recap of our 3 pillars. Security engineering, that's the architect's blueprint, making sure you build things securely from day one. Security hardening, that's the suit of armor, reducing the weaknesses in the systems you already have. And security governance, that's the rulebook, providing that high-level strategy that guides the entire operation. And here is the key takeaway from all of this. It's the combination of proactive design, reactive strengthening, and strategic oversight that creates a security posture that's actually strong and resilient. You really do need all 3 to build a fortress that can stand the test of time. So I'll leave you with one final question to chew on. If you were forced to pick just one, the blueprint, the armor, or the rulebook, which one do you think is the most critical foundation for a digital fortress? Give it some thought, because the answer says a lot about how an organization views security. Thanks for joining us.